recap Victor Hovland, you'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah. You know, so at India, uh, so at India, I'm like in ninth place. I'm like, yeah, great, another top 10, feeling great. Victor Hovland, he's sitting at like uh 10th or 11th, and he chips in for eagle on the last hole to bump me. I mean, it's still a top 10, but I finished 10th instead of ninth. And Victor Hovland comes up to my or so Victor sees my caddy, Danny, and Danny goes up to him and he's like, "Dude, you had to chip in on the last hole to push us, out of ninth to 10th. Like, come on, like I thought we you did plenty of that at Cave Valley at the BMW." And Victor kind of laughs and he's like, "Well, now I know I live rent free in your guys' head."
At Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, and Happy New Year to all of you people out there. A reminder to you to smash the like, sub to the channel, turn on those notifications for special shows like this one, Digging In with Michael Kim. Once again, to kick off the new year. Mike, we did this last year at the beginning of the year, and you're in a totally different place 12 months later.
Definitely in a little different place, but still excited to come back on your show, Pat.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate it. I know the fans really appreciate it. They love these shows to get some insight to what actually happens on the PGA Tour and what's going on with your career. Do you feel like that, I guess over like the past, 2 years, 18 months or so, you've built up such a large online presence. It seemed like you actually tried to do this and put some effort into it. And then all of a sudden, boom, popularity takes off. Like, how much more recognizable are you out there? Like from 2 years ago playing on tour to now playing on tour of just people like wanting to come say hi, like rooting you on, like having a gallery. How has that changed?
Yeah, on like a PGA Tour setting, it's a little different. Definitely more people, stop by to say to root me on during tournaments. But outside of that, no one recognizes me. So which is great. I don't need to be recognized outside of a PGA Tour event. So yeah, that's always been a big positive for me. I feel like I used to get mistaken for other golfers way more than recognize me for who I am. So yeah, it's been a nice change.
So if you really wanted to throw people off the scent, you could just start walking around with a cigarette in your mouth. People are like, is that Seawer or is that Michael Kim?
Yeah. 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 Usually like I used to get like Kevin Na a lot because I used to wear like the titles hat and the sunglasses. Obviously that he doesn't play on tour anymore, so I don't get that anymore. Um, but recently I don't remember the last time I got like confused for someone at least.
That's the
It's
final
usually
level.
a lot of like I either don't know who you are or I kind of do know who you are. So
Yeah, that's the final level of recognition. I had this problem with Chris Stroud and Brian Stewart for about 10 years, just because the names are kind of similar. They kind of look alike. It's like, yeah, but they're never so present that you get like a good visualization of what they look like when you see them on TV. It's usually like, hey, here's a putt, and now we're going to something else. So it's just a problem that happens when you play better. Obviously, people start to recognize you a little bit more, but you're playing to kick off the season. So you said you're going to play the first 7 events of the year?
I think it's the first
Oh,
six.
you're not playing Honda or Cognizant.
I'm not playing Cognizant, which is I guess it's still a little up in the air because I played really well there last year. But I just I like playing a lot of tournaments, and I play better as like on my third and fourth and fifth week is kind of are some of my best weeks. So I grew up on the West Coast, so I want to play as many of those West Coast tournaments as I can.
Do you find that's pretty uniform across the board that the West Coast guys tend to play a bit more earlier on in the season, where once it gets to Texas, I mean, Florida, you're kind of obligated to play in the players and API if you have an invitation to those. But once you get to like Valero, Houston, that the Texas guys tend to play one or both of those tournaments where other guys might just start taking it off.
Yeah, I think the cutoff is usually like, do you want to play Tory or before Pebble was a signature event, did you want to play Pebble? I obviously grew up right next to Torrey Pines, so that's always one that I'm going to play. And Pebble, I went to school near there, and And I enjoy those tournaments way more than others. Like I grew up putting on those weird Poa greens on Torrey and Pebble, and some of the Florida Bermuda guys are like, I hate putting on and playing on Poa greens. So it really just kind of personal preference.
Did you play in the old Pebble before it was like the giant pro-ams, the 3-day pro-am, and then like whatever went into it after that? Like, did you play those gaudy like 6-hour rounds?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I I I probably played four Pebbles before they switched to the signature model. And on Saturday, it doesn't really matter what course you get, but like Saturday, if it's rained a little bit, like the amount of foot traffic and the amount of spike marks is when you couldn't fix spike marks either. And like the sun kind of comes down in the afternoon at like the right spot, and you see every little spike mark like near the hole, and you're standing over like a 8-footer downhill. You're like, there's no way I can make this unless I get the right bounce in the right way. It was those were the days.
Yeah, you're playing plinko with the ball on 5-footers and hope. But okay, so are the Pebble greens super fast? Because people really, maybe it is the spike marks. I was looking at the data on it. Like Riviera, you miss like the 3-putt percentage from like inside 10 feet is like ludicrous because people miss 3-footers all the time. And Pebble's weirdly the same way. Is it because of the greens that people miss these short putts?
It's definitely a big part of it. I think Pebble greens are kind of, a lot of them are old school where it's like really back to front. And so if you get like, if you have a straight uphill one, it's not too bad, but like those side hill, downhill ones get get pretty quick because it's just the amount of slope, and then you add like the bumpiness of the greens at towards the end of the week. It can get really tricky, and also kind of mentally too. Like you're like, well, like I might do all the right things where it is a left edge putt, and I hit it right on the left edge, but still might not go in, and then kind of the doubts start creeping in a bit more.
Yeah, well, that's something that I live with every time I get on the course. Like, although I don't hit it exactly where I want to, yet I convince myself that I've hit the putt the proper way. It's like, well, it's not doing anything. It should have went in. And then the doubt comes in. When you're bad and the doubt comes in, it's just a spiral from there. But we run this big, we call it the one and done contest, race for the Mayo Cup, fantasygolfchampionships.com. The whole premise behind it is you get to pick one golfer every single week for every tournament throughout the course of the season. But when you use that player once, you can't use them again. So it's like a season-long contest. There's like over $1 million in the pot. It's a lot of fun to play. Where should we use you this year?
Wow, great question.
Phoenix?
Phoenix, I feel like I played well there last year. That'll be like my fourth week or so. So, Phoenix is good. Um, let's see.
Like later on
Um,
in the year, like, are you going to play CJ
later
Cup, do
on.
you think? Because now that you have the signature event, I guess you had that last year too, that you were in those signature events. Like, do you think you'll pick up many of the midsummer ones? Because we were looking at the schedule and there gets to a point of the season where it's like 5 signature events, 2 majors all within a 9-week span.
Yeah, and if you're like Scotty or Jordan who, wants to show up for the Texas events, that March through May stretch is like is there's a lot of golf you can play. I would say maybe like Colonial too. I feel like I've played well there in the past, and that's kind of right in the busy stretch. So yeah, Phoenix, Colonial,
Tori?
those are Corey.
Yeah, yeah. Like if you grew up by Torrey Pines, like the weird thing with Torrey Pines is because you mentioned this to me when you won in France that you can kind of like rip it in France and it was okay. You can kind of rip it at Torrey. Like I think that people put an overemphasis on hitting the fairway there sometimes during the farmers type setup. That I've seen a lot of guys just spray the ball everywhere and it just works.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons Tiger played well there, he didn't have to hit that many fairways because a lot of the holes kind of go back to back near each other, and you can find your ball at least, and you give Tiger an iron, and he's gonna tear a place up. Torrey, it's been like real hit or miss. I've been in contention a couple times. Like the year Snedeker won when it was I want to say 2017 or so. It was like I was like 2 or 3 shots back, I want to say, and it was like we played in like a tropical storm, and Sned's won like
Oh,
shooting 69, like coming back.
yeah, he
Um,
finished the day before, and then I
yeah.
remember this one vividly because Jimmy Walker was winning that tournament, and Sneds
hmm
just posted on the Sunday and was done, and then everyone else had to. I think Scott Brown shot 89 on, on the Monday
It
morning
was.
because it was
I,
ridiculous.
it's legitimately, I think, one of the like two of the top five hardest rounds I've ever played was at Torrey Pines Sunday when I was in contention. The other year when I want to say Jason Day won, it was also another crazy year. Um, but quick story on that, like, um, so that year Snedeker won. So if you've ever played Torrey, the last like 13 through 18 is you're kind of playing into the wind most of the time if it's the normal like westerly wind. And I remember I played 1 through 12, and it was like the opposite wind coming from the east. No, no, sorry, it was coming from the west, sorry. And I played 12, and 12 is like straight into the ocean. They moved us up, and I still went driver, like 3 wood, like pitching wedge into like a par four. And they called a day, and 13, is the par five, and it's coming back, so it's downwind. So I was like, at least I come back. I've had a terrible day, so completely out of contention. So I was like thinking like, oh, I'll come back tomorrow. Start off with a straight downwind par five. Well, I show up the next day, and the wind completely switched, and 13 was straight into the wind, like 18 was straight into the wind, 15, like 16, all like straight into the wind. And stood there on the tee on 13. I was like, this tournament's over. I think Jimmy or KJ still had like a one shot lead at that time. Is that there's zero chance anyone shooting even par coming down the stretch. Just remember like feeling so defeated on 13th tee, and I hadn't even started the round yet.
Are there any other tournaments where you can remember something like that? The one that sticks out in my mind the most, I don't know if you played it or not. It was, Jesus, who ended up winning that tournament? I think Stephen Bowditch ended up winning the Byron Nelson one year. I think that was the one. But everyone who played in the AM wave, I think, was 5 shots worse than the PM wave.
You hear like crazy stories like I remember John Huh, named from the past, is telling me there was Valero one year, like it was
That was it.
super. Was that it? Like he
I
played
think
on.
2014 Valero, I think, is the one.
You hear like yeah, I shot 78 and like moved up. Which you'd never hear that. Um, and then like I didn't. I missed the cut, so I wasn't there. But like players where I got, I think that another year Jason Day won. I'm pretty sure like that Saturday where Sergio like seven putted or something on that one hole. Um, but the two times at Torrey are the one that really stand out because I felt like I had a chance to do really well, and it felt like the weather crushed me.
When you go in and prep for tournaments, obviously you have a forecast in mind, but then what actually shows up day of, week of, could be completely different and completely different winds or rain of what you're expecting. But are there certain tournaments that you circle, be like, yeah, there could be weather here?
Yeah, like Torrey or Pebble, February. That's like probably the worst time of the year to go there. So you're probably gonna get rained on at least a couple days, and then you get like um even like like Puerto Rico, like you're probably gonna get rained on half the time, or like RSM. Sometimes it's like 70 degrees, and the next day it's like 50 and blowing 40 miles per hour, and it's cold and windy. Um, if you know you're gonna have a windy day, you just practice a little bit. Try and talk about strategize on what you're going to do, because obviously the strategy changes when it's that windy, or that cold. So yeah, we have an idea of what it's going to be like. I remember when I was on Corn Ferry Tour, even I played a tournament in Chicago, and the Friday morning, it just like cold, wind, rain, everyone's miserable. I played really well. And literally, as soon as the morning wave finished, it was sunshine, zero wind. It was ended up being like a pretty big disparity between the AM and the PM wave. And I just remember I felt like betrayed by the weather gods. Like everyone in our wave played in such horrendous weather, and all of a sudden, and in the afternoon, guys are playing just perfect conditions.
We're doing a bunch of these drafts on Underdog. So it's like a season long draft. It's set up into 4 quadrants. Where do you think you're going in that draft, pick wise? So you have to draft 12 players per team. So there's 72 players that get drafted. There's like it's basically just like fantasy football, but it's like a season long contest for golf, but based on birdies, finishing points. Where do you think you're going in those contests? Has anyone told you?
Is So how many players per bracket?
You get 12 players per team, and there's 6 teams that draft.
But there's four groups, I guess.
Yeah, well, the team that you have at the beginning of the year is the team that you keep through, but it's separated into 4. It's like Sony through Cognizant, API through the Masters or Heritage. Then it's like the middle of the season. Then it's like Canadian Open through the Open Championship.
Oh, so it's based on like the time of the schedule, I guess.
Yes. So yeah, I think it's 7
Uh,
tournaments per qual, like 7, 7, 7. I think the last one's 6.
I would I would guess like that second stretch is based on how I played last year, from like I think you said like Bay Hill to some point. So I assume probably that time frame.
Well, yeah, well, it just we draft them. We're drafting right now for all of this stuff. So, like, if I draft you, I get you for every tournament this year.
I see. I
For
I would
for
have
reference,
maybe like,
like Scotty's the number 1 pick.
of course, yeah. Maybe like average like 35th or something like that.
You, sir, are a first round pick.
That I don't know if that's like the best. I don't think I would pick myself as the first pick, to be honest.
Well, the hardest thing to do, and this is why, like, knowing your schedule, that's why it's the reason that people have been asking you about your schedule, is that you don't get to move guys in and out for each tournament. Like, you only have 12 guys. So you need to situate your team. Like, you need to have your signature event guys. You need to have your guys that are in majors. But all the other tournaments count just as much for scoring. So you need
Oh.
Sony. And so you telling everyone that you're going to play the first 6 tournaments, everyone's like, this is perfect. Like, he's going to play. I can use him in every tournament. This is awesome.
So, I was talking to Ben Griffin, because Ben played a lot of golf this year too. So I assume Ben's got to go super high because he plays a big schedule too, right? I assume.
He's the number 2 pick in the draft.
Wow. Okay. You just need a lot of big schedule guys, apparently. Um,
But you need the
so
guys that do both. Like Rory doesn't go until like the 15th pick because it's very unlikely you see him before Pebble Beach. So you just don't get 4 of his. Although he has like the best. He's very valuable because he plays Canada every year. So he
hmm,
plays Canada and Scotland plus the major. So if you can somehow draft Rory and wait it out and get to the end, he's super valuable. But if you don't win your
gotcha.
first section, you don't get to the last section.
I'm gonna guess then Ben Griffin, me, Siu played a ton last year and he's playing really well. Sung Jae obviously plays a big schedule. I feel like those guys probably are some of the higher picks.
They are the 4 of you are all inside the top 10.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Do you think that Ben Griffin will play a full schedule again? Like Ryder Cup, Mayo, like he's in just like you, he's in everything now. And
He
I think he just got married too, and that usually means not playing as much.
No, he's all in. I see him play maybe like maybe not like 32, 33 events, but I'm gonna guess he plays at least 29. He likes playing a lot, and you know, like me, like a guy that like didn't have like immediate success. Ben obviously famous for having a kind of a regular desk job and then coming back, and yeah, this was only his like um, third or fourth year on PGA Tour, and you still really want to play as much as you can at that time. I feel like.
Have you talked to anyone about going? Like you're playing Sony. I think I saw Si Woo's playing Sony. I think we all kind of imagine Ben Griffin will play in the Sony. Nick Taylor's defending there, so he probably goes too. Do you think they're going to get like the fields will be? I don't want to say like weaker, but because there's no Century, do you think that most of the people like? Because Justin Thomas used to do both, and even like back in the day, like Jimmy Walker would do both. That a lot of these guys that were just there because of the Century, they said, "Hey, well, let's kick it at Waialae, stay an extra week in Hawaii. This sounds great." Do you think a lot of people are going to go to Hawaii this time around, knowing there's only one tournament?
It, yeah. Well, the people that were I found weird was the ones that went to Century, but then would skip Sony and just come back. And a lot of them live on the East Coast, and I was always wondering, like, you're there anyway, like, why don't you just play Sony and then come back? But I do think I feel like a lot of them might just start their year at Amex because I guess it's it's 4 or 5 less hours of travel. Um, but the guys that play Sony and Century every year are probably gonna play there again. Um, I've always enjoyed playing the tournament. And who knows, it might be the last year or the last couple of years that the event's there. So I certainly will be there at Sony and Amex, and I'm looking forward to it.
What's the difference between the Pro-Am at Amex and the old Pro-Am at Pebble Beach? Because they seem to be markedly different. I know there's more coverage for Pebble Beach. You have sort of the celebrity class, high-end athlete class, but like when you're playing the round, is it any different?
Well, the weather's really nice, and the vibe is very a bit more casual. At Pebble, it's like it's Pebble. Like all the AMs are taking it super seriously. They want to do well. But Amex, it's a little bit less pressure on the AMs, I feel like. And a lot of the guys that a lot of the AMs that play Amex kind of play it every year because they enjoy the vibe, and some prefer Amex over Pebble now. Because the weather's much nicer. It's a bit more relaxed vibe, and even when you play the tournament, you almost kind of forget that you're playing in a PGA Tour tournament for like a lot of money and points until like Sunday, where you get paired up with two other pros usually. Um, and you play like La Quinta Country Club, which is like one of the nicest clubs we'll play all year, but it's not like the course itself isn't like the hardest. Um, so I just remember thinking of it as a much more relaxed vibe. Everyone's having a bit more fun, I feel like, at Amex almost.
It seems like there's a lot less pressure.
Yeah, for sure. You playing at Pebble, you show up on 6T or 7T, and there's just an innate pressure that comes with playing the Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
I can most definitely see that. I trying to get on Pebble at some point. We'll see how that ends up going. All right, people, it's that time of year again. The Mayo Cup is officially open. That's right, your yearly reminder that you could win life-changing money if you stop making coward picks and actually commit to greatness. Let's talk stakes, because the Mayo Cup, not messing around. $110,000 to first place. 110,000 actual real dollars. And with your $250 entry, you're playing for a prize pool of $1.2 million. That's 7 figures of pure, delicious fantasy golf sweat. And this season, the Mayo Cup is fully available in the Fanball app. Week-to-week picks, leaderboard sweats, berating yourself for fading the guy who wins by 6. You can do it all right from your phone. So head to the Fanball app, search for the Mayo Cup, and get yourself entered. 1.2 million in prizes, 110,000 to the winner, just $250 to play. This is the year, unless you blow it again. But hey, you might not. Sign up now. The contest tees off January 15th. I gotta tell you about pre-alcohol, my secret weapon before a night out. I used to choose a great night or a great next day. Now, I get both with ZBiotics. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic made by PhD scientists to fight rough mornings. Alcohol creates a toxic byproduct in your gut, not dehydration, that ruins the next day. Pre-alcohol makes an enzyme to break it down. Drink it first, drink it responsibly, and wake up still feeling fresh. I was skeptical, but the first time that I tried it, rooftop, with my pals, drank it before my first cocktail, next morning, felt amazing, ready to crush the day. Go to zbiotics.com/PatMayo to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use PatMayo at checkout. ZBiotic is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/PatMayo and use the code PatMayo at checkout for 15% off. The holidays are here, the season of giving, and at Underdog, they're going big. They even hooked me up with Thunderbirds tickets. It was great. It's like Underdog knows me better than I know myself. But here's the crazy part. They know you guys just as well. From now through the 31st, Underdog is dropping exactly what you want. Daily promos every single day. College football, pro football, basketball, fight sports, you name it. Promos every day for you to enjoy. So check your app every day. It's Underdog Unwrapped, and it's going to be our best one ever. I just want to quickly talk about PGA National because it kind of got dealt a death blow with how the schedule works now, with the Mexico Open not being around, that you're going to have you're going to play the 4 tournaments, then the 2 signature events. Then all of a sudden there's no bye week for, bigger names, the signature event guys to take off. And then you go Honda, then it's signature event, or then the players. That has to be the logical week off for everyone, doesn't it?
Yeah, it also doesn't help. I'm pretty sure, is it Genesis the week before?
Yeah, it's Pebble, Genesis, Honda, API players.
So just going from LA to Florida, it's it's 6-hour flight, which isn't terrible, but the time difference, and PGA National is a certain type of course where if you like that type of course, you'll probably play it every year. But it's it's a terrible place in the schedule, and you may or may not like the golf course. And just that travel from LA to Florida, it's right in that spot where you've probably played a decent amount on the West. You're gearing up to play a lot of on the Florida. It just sits right in that middle spot where the field. I mean, if it's the non-signature guys are all going to play it, but it's in a tough place for sure.
How have you obviously you got friends on tour, some in signature events, some not in signature events. It feels like there's almost a 2-tiered system now. And it's more noticeable this year, and it feels like it's going to get more noticeable going forward. I guess they have the alternate events. I think Puerto Rico is around that time too, but it's going to be hard for some of these guys to get starts, isn't it?
Yeah, at least this year is still plenty of events, but there is a bit more of a defined 2 tiers, I guess. Like before, it used to be still kind of a thing with the WGCs and stuff, but it was a bit less pronounced, like it is now. I do like thinking when when they switched over to this model, all the all the schedules have become one or the other, where it's just you play all the signature events plus a couple others in that time frame, and then if you're not in the signature events, you just end up playing all the tournaments not that aren't signature events. Whereas before, when my second year on tour, I was able to kind of pick and choose a bit more. I had a little bit more flexibility. now like picking my schedule has been pretty like simple, and like, oh, I'm playing all the signature events. Hopefully I'll play all the majors, and then I have my 2 or 3 or 4 tournaments that I'm definitely going to play like Tori. So um, I remember like back then it was like a big deal, like trying to figure out which tournaments you're going to play, and all that. But now it's pretty simple.
Do you think you'll see some, because obviously retaining your PGA Tour card or earning it now, if you don't have access to the signature events, is going to be super difficult because those are worth more. There's no cuts in most of them. Like we saw this with Ricky last year, that all of a sudden it's just, we're at the end of like the BMW. It was like, I don't remember Ricky like having a great year, but here he is like way up because he had all these tournaments where you got all these FedEx Cup points, where someone like you, Andrew Novak, Ben Griffin, played your way in and then were able to pile up points, but you had a ton of success before that and kept it going. So obviously there's going to be that path. Do you think guys might actually start playing like DP World Tour because 10 of those guys get in?
I've noticed like the conditional guys play way more DP Tour events, kind of the outside looking in, because you're just gonna get rusty, and if you're in kind of that conditional status, um, you feel even more pressure to play well when you get those pressure starts. And I know there's a big deal about cutting cards from 125 to 100, and that's 25 less jobs. But if you really look at kind of the actual full eligibility and stuff, everyone inside the 110, they're gonna get plenty of starts. There's still, at least right now, there's still plenty of tournaments to play. We still have some opposite field events, and if you play well there, that's still a decent amount of points. Um, and with like Ricky, like I know there's like the whole narrative about like certain guys get all the exemptions, and there is
But
a
that's what
lot of
they're
truth
there
to that.
for, though, isn't it? Like Spieth's not
Yeah,
in the signature event. Spieth is going to get all these opportunities to play because people will pay money to come see Jordan Spieth play.
yeah. I mean, I've never had a problem with like certain guys like whoever Jordan, Ricky, or whoever Adam Scott, like getting all these signature events. Like those guys are stars, um and they still have to play well. Like, yeah, like there are no cuts, but like you know a 45th, 50th at a signature event, like there's you very little good because of how the points are worked now.
For sure. But if you can spike a top 10 in one of these events, it's just worth so much versus going to Houston and coming T9.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I finished fourth at the API, and obviously it was a huge check, and I don't remember the exactly how many points I got, but I remember is a I mean, that kind of sets your entire year up where you feel like you can kind of almost cruise from there.
Yeah, I messaged you right after that, like the week going into the players, that after that fourth place, that you basically had enough points to make the playoffs based on every other year that they've ever counted points.
Yeah, I'm the best, honestly. If you like the guy that wins at Sony Open, is just like the most stress-free player, and then you can imagine, because you're like, man, like I feel like I've met my quota, and it's been 1 week out of 52.
That's the Nick Taylor method. I think he's won Sony, he's won Pebble, he's won Phoenix. Mark Wilson did that too back in the day.
Yes, yes,
He had
Mark Wilson. I remember he would play really well, like up to like WGC match play, which is in Arizona, and then he just cruise, and that was like the best motto you could ever have.
yeah, he had 5 career wins and they were all before March 1st, I think. That's a way to plan out your schedule, rest free for a while. What's he on? I think he's one of the broadcasters on something now. Has anyone approached you for that now that you have a like bigger presence? Obviously, you're still in the midst of playing, but something like, does broadcasting interest you at all? I see a lot of former players. Some are really good at it. Some aren't really good at it. Some of them are very guarded with what they say. And then like you get like Graham Dillette has been really good at it. We get a lot of him in Canada, and obviously he's on PGA Tour Live. Like in 10 years time, is that something that you would think about?
For sure. Whether producers would actually want me on the mic is a different different thing. But I think that would be a very cool way to kind of transition from just a full on, golfer to having that role. I haven't been approached for any type of thing. But well, I'd love to give it a try for sure.
Has anyone approached you about TGL yet?
No, no, no one's approached me about TGL. I'm just waiting for Scotty to make his team, and I hope maybe I can jump on his bandwagon as the Dallas guys.
There is. I don't think there is a Texas team yet. Although I don't know why Matt Fitzpatrick plays for the. I don't know why. The thing I can't understand about TGL is why do they have city names? They all play in the same place.
I think they want to kind of bring in a certain type of team feel with the cities and whatnot. Why Matt Pitt plays on whichever team and certain guys play on certain teams. I just I don't think there's too much correlation, but I assume I think it's just tough for Scotty and guys like Jordan because you have to go to Florida and it's just another few hours of travel. You have to go on. I think it's usually on Mondays, so right after tournaments, which a lot of those guys live in Florida, so it's much easier for them than it is for Scotty and Jordan.
It didn't quite pan out, but I had a theory on TGL last year that I thought that I think it's the Bay Area team, the team with like Ludwig, Minwoo, I think Wyndham Clark's on the team, that the simulator experience translates better to both European players and young players because like especially these like, Scandinavian players, it's no different than being in Canada. Like we can only play for 6 to 8 months a year. Then you have to play on simulators that like when you go to a sim, do you find it's a lot different than being out on the range and like the stats that you get or how you have to hit a ball?
I haven't spent like a ton of time on Sims, but it is like a totally different feel. Well, like even like hitting golf balls off mats. I know they hit off grass, so it's a little bit different. But like if you're a guy that's played or lived in Texas, California, or Florida, like you're playing, outdoor golf the entire time. So definitely like guy like Ludwig who's probably spent like months at a time hitting off a mat into a sim or into like a net or whatever is definitely could be an advantage.
I always wondered what obviously it probably is different between players and what they do. But like what do you do over the Christmas break? Like that like 6 week stretch where there is no competitive golf. Obviously, Ryan Gerard went to South Africa and Mauritius to qualify for the Masters and it worked out. So, good on Ryan Gerard for doing that. Most people are not doing that. Like do you practice? Do you just kick your feet up and be like I need a break from everything that's gone on this year? Like, do you work on swing changes? Do you work out? Like, what's that 4 to 6 week period like?
For me, it's been a lot of nothing. um, After Grant Thornton, I was like, I've got nothing on the calendar for a full month. So I think I 2 days ago was probably is it two no the day yeah 2 days ago was like my first time hitting a golf ball since Grant Thornton. So it's been a nice break. I might have you know tried to stay on top of it a bit more if Century was still going, since that's just the next a week earlier. But I felt like I 2 weeks ish is probably a good time. Like this year, just for my game, it felt like I just kind of want to kind of keep going along the progression. Now, it didn't feel like Sean and my coach, didn't feel like we needed to change anything or just kind of keep going, keep working on the same things that we've been working on. So, but certain guys are just total golf nerds, and I think Sungjae, who did his 1 month like military thing, he's like, this is like the first time I hadn't touched a club in like more than like with 3 days of break. So and that's obviously rare. But I would think most guys take Christmas pretty easy. Still working out and like trying to get healthy and get ready for that year. But as far as golf, I think most guys take it pretty easy.
Did Sung Jae ever settle anywhere, or is he still living at a hotels?
No, he's living in Atlanta. He's got a house and he's living in Atlanta.
So where you like you're obviously located in Texas. You said a lot are in Florida. Now, is that because of the weather? Obviously, tax purposes come into this, but I can't remember if I've asked you this before, but how do you pay taxes on these winnings? Like if you win in California, are you taxed at a California rate or is it where you reside?
So it's complicated. My works really hard and long hours. Ironically, he's retiring at the end of this year. But yeah, so California, I think it's like literally called like the Jordan tax. Maybe it's from Michael Jordan, but yeah, like Sony, if I win, I have to pay income tax or winning tax based on the state in Hawaii that I won. So if you win the API compared to Pebble, you make out much more in at the API. The interesting part was more like when I won in France, because then you have to deal with like a different country's tax policies. I think the wealth management guys for me had to like hire like an international tax firm for that. I think, but the DP makes it a little easier. They just withhold the tax amount that's going to be taxed and send me the rest. But then like I just found out this year that usually endorsements are just based on where I reside, but this might be a little off, but in France, I also had to pay like a percentage of my endorsement money as well, because I'm endorsing in France.
Huh.
So every state and country wants their little piece of it. So my CPA has his work cut out for him.
So when you go to find something like that, like you're a Corn Ferry guy, you're trying to come up, you just left college. Does the tour hook you up with a place that you can go to do that, or do you have to independently find all that stuff? Obviously, the bigger you get, these firms will probably come and approach you, like the very higher end ones. But when you're someone who's grinding for a PGA Tour card, you're not making the most money in the world. Do they hook you up with like, hey, here's who we use, here's who you can use to make sure that everything's on the up and up?
I'm pretty confident the tour has a list of kind of certified, wealth managers who've worked with players before, um, who've kind of done this before, and that's whether that's agents or wealth managers or anything like that. When I first turned pro, the agent kind of came up to me and I signed right away with him and he kind of helped out, really kind of set up my whole system, introduced me to some wealth managers, and the wealth manager helped me find a CPA that he's worked with before. That was great. Um, these guys have been doing it for a lot longer. But if you're maybe like a lesser known guy, just graduated and don't really know how to get started, I can imagine it being like a much tougher task, especially you know a lot of these companies these days don't s- like don't sign kind of the real dark horses, I guess, as much as before, I feel like. So I can see how that could become a pretty big challenge.
Yeah, if you were Michael Thorbjornsen and people are saying, this guy's going to be really good, that he might have some offers, but if you're seventh on the PGA Tour, you trying to come out, that maybe it's not going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Or even if you're seventh, if someone's gonna take a chance. But if you're like, if you're just graduated from like a D2 school and you want to give it a try, like that's gonna be a much bigger challenge.
Do you wish that they had the PGA Tour you when you were in college?
For sure, for sure. I had a really good start to my college career. My sophomore year, I played well in some pro tournaments like the US Open and the Greenbrier. Had some college wins. I I definitely think I would have stayed, at least because I think the points accumulate over time, right? So definitely would have kind of incentivized me to, you know, play my third and fourth year and probably not even try Q school at the end of my second year there.
And you could probably pile like if you're winning tournaments, because I'm seeing this now with what the hell is his name, Jackson Koivin, that he has like he's won the PGA Tour U, he has his tour card, but he's choosing to stay in college and finish out. I think I don't know if it's his sophomore year, his senior year, not sure what it is. Eventually, I think it's the Canadian Open is the first time that a lot of these guys, which is a great coup for the Canadian Open because they've been able to get like Ludwig to come out there and he tends to return every single year. Morikawa used to do it too. Morikawa, when he first turned pro, that was I think that the first pro event he played after playing Pebble Beach. Victor was very much the same way. So it's a good spot for the Canadian Open to be, to try to get, kind of invest in some of this young talent. We're like, hey, we're going to give so many college guys starts here if they want to turn pro. But you could probably collect NIL money now and like make a pretty good chunk of change still playing in college.
Uh, I don't know, like if it's 100% true, but you hear like rumors of like, schools and companies giving NIL deals, or like even weekly NIL deals when they play PGA Tour tournaments. Like I remember when I played with, sorry, just totally blanking on the Florida
Clinton?
State kid that um, Nick Clanton, Luke
Yeah,
Clanton.
Clinton. Luke Clinton. Yeah.
He had NIL deals, when he was playing PGA Tour events. Even like schools themselves were offering golfers some money to keep playing at their school, which is like completely mind blowing. Like at Cal, like I didn't even have a full scholarship until my third year. Um, so it's pretty crazy. It's definitely a different, but hey, more power to them.
Yeah.
Glad. And like with like Jackson Coivin's case, like for sure, I would try and delay that as much as I can just to make sure I'm ready when because it's only a one year deal. So you have to make sure you're as ready as you can be, to try and keep your car for years on afterwards.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he is, because there's a couple guys that could turn pro, but if they do turn pro, they lose their Masters invite, they lose their US Open like qualified spot, that a lot of them just wait until that's done and then do it.
Yeah, my guy Colt Nost, who famously turned down the Masters invite. Oh, poor Colt. But he's now a broadcaster. He's doing fine. But yeah, Masters. It's like when you're a kid, you feel like you're gonna play in a bunch of Masters and U.S. Opens and British Open, but then you playing against real pros that are really freaking good. And like even I had a really successful college career. I played well at a US Open at a pretty young age, and this will be my third Masters ever. So you just never know how a career is going to turn out.
Is it? Yeah. So I'm looking at it right now. Like Ethan Fang is one of the guys that he must remain an amateur to compete in both. So he's going to remain an amateur, I'm guessing.
Yeah, for sure, because I assume he won the USAM. So yeah, which honestly it feels like a little outdated. Like I don't think like you won the tournament, like your status shouldn't change based on, or whether you get in shouldn't change based on you just saying like I'm a pro now. So it is kind of, I think that's a little outdated.
I can see that, but just to go back to the NIL, you said you weren't even on full scholarship the entire time. And so it would have been nice getting like, hey, here's 250 grand for the year and go play golf and go to school.
For sure, for sure. And I even saw like some guys that were drafted like in NBA, like going back to college to play. And I was like, man, I still have like a year left of Cal status. Like maybe I just go back and play Cal for a year if I get bored after being, you know, 10 years later.
I mean, listen, it's not a bad idea because I did see that some guy who played for the Bulls, that now they're saying like he had a 2-way G League contract, but he's played minutes for the Bulls this year. but now he's going back to college on an NIL deal somehow. I don't know how that works.
I have no idea how it works. It's like there's like no rules and laws in college athletics anymore.
I saw you. So tell me about you. I think I saw you tweet this out that you signed like with an analytics company, and they were kind of like breaking everything down because you had made mention that you need to improve 200 to 250 yards.
Yeah, they're a data analytics company, and the stats didn't come directly from them, but I have a stats guy that breaks down my stats throughout the entire year, or based on let's for example, like I played really well from Phoenix to API, and what did I do really well there compared to when I had a poor stretch and stuff like that. And this year kind of told me 200 to 225 or 250 is kind of a big improvement base, or where I can make a big improvement. You know, 8 to 15 footers is where I can make another big improvement. So, um, like I'm not gonna change my swing or anything based on that, but I am testing out like a hybrid instead of a 4 iron. So I've had a couple hybrids sent to me, a couple different 4 irons sent to me. So, maybe seeing if I can make an improvement there. Uh, I felt like my 8 to 15 footers improved a bit more when I was playing the DP World Tour, and those stats are a little trickier to have. Um, so, those just trying to, improve my strokes gained a little bit here and there to see if I can gain an edge for next year.
Yeah, I'm looking on the rabbit hole right now. It's at betspertsgolf.com. So it has like I mean, you can get shot level data if you really dig into it, but just looking at like tournament wise, like every time that you drove the ball well, that you basically had a great tournament. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Like that
I've
fundamental thing.
yeah, I've it's a work in progress. Um, like I think it's last year. Last year was like first time I actually like was like around zero on my stroke gain driver, uh, almost like for the first time in my career, and we're just working into it. Um, and yeah, whenever my if my driver's feeling good, then I'm feeling good about like my entire game, my entire swing. And it's honestly like not the best way to look at it, because then it's just like, well, like my driver's not feeling good, then do I just give up on the week? And it's kind of easy to think that way. You don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. But driver is always going to be a thing that I'm gonna work my hardest on, and it has the most attention in my brain.
So you're trying out a hybrid instead of a 4. Have you jumped on the internet craze of everyone using a 7 wood or a 9 wood?
No, I already have a 7 wood. I'm I'm yet to try a 9 wood. I know I'm pretty sure Tommy plays with a 9 wood.
That would not
Um,
shock me. You can play with a 9 wood, a mini driver. He's got the entire. What clubs do you start leaving out at that point?
yeah, so I think he goes driver, mini driver, 5 wood, 9 wood. It's like something along those lines. And I feel like before, guys still like irons because a lot of hybrids early were designed for like amateurs that had a hard time slicing it, so they were really draw biased. But then you give like a pro a draw biased hybrid, they just start going way left. So a lot of guys didn't like hybrids, but now they make really good hybrids even for pros. So I think and fairway wood, so you can mess around with the settings a lot more these days.
Do many guys play hybrids on tour? It feels like more of a champions tour. Like you see Fred Couples come out, he's got an entire bag of them at the Masters.
Um, I think there are more like 7 woods and than hybrids than when I first started in my career. I'm pretty sure. Um, I've had I've no, that's not true. I've had a 3 iron for a decent amount in my career, because I've never had a problem like hitting it higher. But This year at Torrey, I'm pretty sure the rough is super thick, and if you miss a fairway on like the 12th hole, like you just want some, and you're in the rough. Like a 7 wood is way better than even a 6 iron or anything like that. So I put it in play at Torrey, and I liked it so much that I've kept it my throughout the entire year. So not afraid to try maybe a hybrid or maybe a 9 wood for next year.
Be interesting. I'm trying to think about like why I use a 3 hybrid instead of a 3 iron because I just when you're not good, hitting a 3 iron can become rather difficult. So try to get that you hit like line drives with those. But like, how far does your 7 wood go? Is that like a 250 club?
No, it's like a 235, 240 club, I would say.
So a 9 wood would be like 215 to 225 kind of range.
Exactly.
That wouldn't be bad, especially if you could sky it.
Yeah, I mean, it's bigger the head. There's more technologies going to be in it. It's going to be better out of the rough. The only thing I'm worried about is sometimes those like 9 woods or 3 or 4 hybrid. Like if you hit it really well, sometimes the ball just goes like an extra 10 yards sometimes. So that's really the only thing I'm trying to keep an eye on. At
Have you played where are they having it this year? It's at Ronamick, Shinnecock Hills, and Royal Birkdale. Have you played any of those courses?
Not a single one of them.
Fun. Shinnecock Hills looks awful.
So so um so in 2013, the Walker Cup, the one I played at was at National Golf Links, which is right next to Shinnecock. And kind of a side story. So on Tuesday, the Walker Cup starts on Friday, but you're there the entire week playing practice rounds and whatnot. And on Tuesday, the captain, or on Monday night, captain comes to us and says, "Hey guys, Shinnecock has invited all of us to play a round of golf if you guys want to go." And we're like, "Oh, sweet." And then he goes, "But before you guys make your mind, I want to tell you guys a quick story. Is when the captain when I played the Walker Cup, it was at Cypress, or maybe it was at Pebbles. Let's just call it is at Pebble. Like Cypress Point invited us to play, and we all played, but I didn't play. I wanted to stay focused on Pebble, so I didn't go play Cypress Point. It's just something for you guys to maybe think about." And we all kind of looked around at each other, and we're like, "No, we want to we want to play Shinnecock Hills. We want to play Shinnecock." So we all looked at each other like, "No, we're just gonna play Shinnecock." It ended up getting rained out, so we never got to play. It rained crazy amounts Tuesday, unfortunately. So I've never been able to play. But I haven't qualified for it, actually yet. So,
Yeah. You're
yes.
well, you need to be what is it, top 50 after something like you're 36 right now. And as long as you
Yeah,
just
as
play,
long as long as as long as I play fine, I'll be in, and hopefully, and looking forward to playing Shinnecock and seeing how maybe the USGA will keep it nice and civil this time.
that I very much doubt, especially if someone goes and shoots a 5 under in the first round, they're gonna crank the greens up and no one will break par.
Every year, that it's like that afternoon where, oh look, we didn't know it was going to be this windy, and we didn't realize that it was going to dry out. And it's like we've had the tournament here, like 5 different times. How could you not know?
For the U.S. Opens that you've played, like you played last year and you played what in 2023, and you played one like a decade ago too, didn't you?
I played 2013, which was the one at Marion. I guess I didn't play it until LACC and then Oakmont. I think are my three.
How did you find? I mean, obviously, Oakmont played is by far the hardest tournament last year. Like, does it get a
Yeah.
point? Like, I guess Spawn's putt made him break par. The bomb. He was the only guy to finish below level par. But like, just can you contextualize how hard it was? Like, why was it so hard? Besides the
It's
rough.
it was it's like a guy the designer, I forget his name. It's like a guy went up to him, just designed the hardest golf course you can imagine. It can be as weird as you want. Just it's like a as if a guy like for TGL designed just designed the hardest golf course you can imagine. And like the greens are crazily sloped. They're fast, and really more than anything, the rough, like the grass there, it's like I've played a lot of golf courses. I've been in the rough a lot of times. And I have like you have a get you build up a sense of like, okay, like I see, let's say this amount of ball, I kind of put the club behind it. Okay, like I maybe take a couple practice swings. Okay, this one maybe feels like it's gonna go 15 yards shorter. So I take an extra club and I just, swing a lot harder on it, and maybe, and you have a general idea of how much the ball's gonna go, um, compared to the fairway. And I would get like that same type of look where it should be like 15 yards shorter. So I, take an extra club or whatnot, swing harder. And it wouldn't go 15 yards shorter, it would go like 70 yards shorter. And even like, okay, this lie, I feel like I can get a 6 iron on it. I don't think I need more loft on it. And I would hit it and it just completely dive down. And the rough, it's just hard to describe how strong the grass was, how uniform and thick it was. I was talking to Neil Shipley, who's a member there, and it's like I think it'd be an awesome course to play when there's like not a lot of rough, because then you just have to deal with the greens themselves, and that's difficult as it is. Um, but I remember like talking to Adam Scott, who played the 2007 one, and then the one Dustin Johnson won. And you asked like Adam Scott about, or Ted Ted Scott about like what 2007 was like, and it's just like it's like, oh my God, 2007. It's like asking them to replay like a nightmare they've had in the past. Like oh my God, like literally you could not hit the first screen because it's so front to back. He's like, you literally just you couldn't, even if it didn't matter where you hit it in the fairway, you just basically laying up to the back of the green. And then like hole is it 12, the par five? It's like a long par five, and the fairway sloped super hard left to right, and no one could hit the fairway there because even if you hit it into the fairway, it just roll off into the rough. And Ted was telling me Bubba, who hit like can curve it, would hit like this 30-yard slice to try and hold that fairway, and he'd be in like the first cut or something. It was like it was just kind of at that point like why is the fairway even there? But just I remember more of hearing those guys talk about 2007, and how impossible that was. That's when Cabrera won. Yeah.
The last time we spoke was before I think you were going to Japan for the Bay Current. And then you played Korea. Or did you go to Korea or did you play in Korea after that?
I just went to Korea. I didn't play it. That was so I went
You went to
Japan,
India.
India, and then I played the ones in Abu Dhabi and Dubai.
So what was the experience like in India? Because Rory and Fleetwood went to that event too, didn't they?
Yeah, Rory, Fleetwood, Victor Hovland, a bunch of it was I didn't end up I ended up not getting until Wednesday because I had some visa issues. Um, but I was kind of hear India, like I kind of worried about like what it might be, but I actually had a really good time. The hotel we stayed at was really close to the golf course, so we never felt like you know the traffic there. that is that is a scene. Lanes are just like a suggestion, maybe almost not even a suggestion. And driving like back and forth between the airport is definitely a unique experience. But the hotel was super nice, the golf course was super unique. I hit four drivers the entire week just on the range, like didn't even think about it on the golf course. I think I hit 7 wood off the tee. I don't know, 7 times, 4 iron 4 times, and 3 wood twice. It's probably like uh, about right. Um, and I was like fascinated by the golf course, and it's just so different than what we play. Like it's like the complete opposite of TPC Craig Ranch or something like that. And so I found it super unique. I thought the tournament did a great job hosting us. Um, and I enjoy Indian food. I like spicy food, so food was fantastic, and I played pretty well. So overall, it was an awesome week.
So, do you think that the PGA could utilize? I mean, obviously, they're not going to go to India and play a regular tour event, but instead of the Craig ranches, and obviously, so much of it has to do with getting people on location, having venues that agree to do that, to put up grandstands and actually have the facilities and space in place to do it. But to have just even two like really weird courses somewhere in America that you could play, would that be worth it, do you think, or no?
I mean, I feel like Harbor Town is our version of that, in a sense, which I feel like I don't hear any complaint about Harbor Town, even from like, you know, some of the bombers who you might think like doesn't suit their game as much. But yeah, I mean, but I also feel like golf course design itself can be a bit more uh, can be kind of push the boundaries a bit more as well. And just but I do think a lot of that has to do with you have to fit a certain amount of like hospitality and parking and all that, which can be really tricky as well.
Have you played the PGA Frisco course yet?
I have not. I live like 15 minutes from there. Um, but it is like it's just I struggle to like I'm sure if I called them and say like, hey, like, can I play? But like I just struggle like playing if it can get I think it can get pretty crowded there because hotel guests can play, members play, and so like going up there playing with 3 members and or 2 members and just if it takes like 6 hours just to play that golf course, I'm just deathly against that. Um, is it next year or is
Next
it
year.
2 years?
I
Next
believe
year?
I believe it's next year PGA Championship.
I will for sure check it out before then. But so far I have not.
Yeah, for Frisco next year, and then it's back at the Olympic Club in 2000,
Hmm.
or I guess it was the U.S. Open was at the Olympic Club. Now have you played the Olympic Club? Because it looks like that's one of the few on TV that like this looks like an awesome course.
Even Olympic, I actually have never played Olympic. I feel like I've played a lot of good, really nice golf courses around the Bay Area, but yeah, at Cal we either never were invited or we just our coach maybe didn't ask. But never played Olympic either.
Yeah, what you need to do to get on Frisco and get some good times, like you need to call up like Good or like Bob Does Sports. I wish I had more pull, but I don't. And they'll get like 6 hours blocked off of no one in front of you behind you, so that they can film, and then you can play in like 4 hours.
Yeah, yeah. I need to figure out who to call. Because it is a PGA course, but I'm pretty sure Omni kind of like operates and owns it for the most part. So I'll try and figure out and reach back to you and see how it goes.
When I first started with DraftKings like 10 years ago, the first thing I did was fly out to, it wasn't Omni, it was at the Cowboys practice facility, which I think is in Frisco. Is it near there?
Yeah, it's slightly north of that facility. The PGA Frisco course is pretty far north of Dallas.
Okay. And Craig Ranch is even farther north, isn't it?
Craig Ranch is actually about even with the Cowboys facility. It's just a bit more east.
Okay. Do you think you'll end up playing there this year? Or he's going to be like, yeah, I'll watch it on TV from 10 minutes away.
It's like really tough on the schedule, like we talked about, like because
Yeah.
I think it's like before or after PGA. Like I'm always going to play Colonial because I've played well there. And I've just never played well at Craig Ranch. I don't know why, like how people think that golf course is super easy. Like all I see is trouble. And like we talked about, like if it sets up well for my driver, then I play well. But that golf course just um doesn't fit my eye as well. But they completely redesigned it. I think Lanny Watkins did the redesign. So speaking of which, I've been meaning to kind of check it out. Check out the golf course before this year, but it's a little up in the air of whether I'm gonna play it or not.
Oh, yeah, it goes Doral, Quail Hollow PGA Championship, Craig Ranch, Colonial, Memorial, Canada, US Open, Travelers. So
Y-
if there's one to take off, it sounds like that's the one.
Yeah, and it's like tough. I used to always make fun of like the Jupiter guys that took off Cognizant. And then, like last year, I didn't play the Byron Nelson because I had played so much golf before that, and now I ended up being one of those guys that like live 15 minutes away from a PGA Tour tournament golf course, but don't actually show up for the tournament. So maybe this year.
Well, you don't get your airline points for that one.
Yeah, Lord knows I have plenty of airline and credit card points built up, especially this year.
So does that get you into like the best lounges around the world too? Like the airport lounges?
I'm not like a huge lounge guy.
Oh, you got to be a lounge guy.
I
Lounges are
mean,
great.
so caveat, I like going to lounges in like Asia and
Yes.
some of those
So
countries.
how is the Dubai lounge?
The Dubai Lounge is fantastic. Like Korean Air Lounge is fantastic. Like Istanbul, the Istanbul Turkey Airlines Lounge has a golf simulator, in the lounge. So
Just
not
like
that I
Minnesota.
just like Minnesota, but like I don't think I've ever even been inside like the DFW lounge, I guess. But maybe it's fantastic. Maybe I've been missing out. But I'm more in favor of the international lounges than I am of the some of the US airport lounges.
Yeah, the North American airport terminal lounges have a lot to be desired once you start traveling internationally a little bit. Where I went to one, where the hell was it? I can't remember if it was in Paris, maybe it was in Morocco, but it was like a 5-star restaurant when we walked in, not like the one in my airport, which is super tiny and has slightly nicer chairs. And that's it.
Exactly. It's just slightly nicer chairs, and like before, like Wi-Fi, I guess, was a big thing, but now like every airport has free Wi-Fi now. So I'm okay on the lounges.
When was the last time you were on a flight that didn't have Wi-Fi? Because I got stuck from here to London like last year, and we got on the flight like I had everything ready to go. I didn't download anything. It's like, yeah, I'll just stream on the way. It's a 8-hour flight, whatever it might be. They got us like, oh, so sorry, there's no Wi-Fi on this plane. It's like, what? What are we gonna do?
Yeah, I'm waiting for what's the Starlink? I'm waiting for Starlink to show up on every flight because when Starlink's there on the flight, like internet's like super fast and you can stream whatever shows you want. Just waiting for that.
Let's see. I'll start doing broadcasts from the plane. It'll be perfect.
Exactly. That'll make the flight go by real fast.
Yeah, I'll annoy everyone. I'll have to get on like Emirates Airlines and get my own like cabin to do my bright. Then I could probably write it off as a work expense if I do that.
There you go.
Now we're working on it. I've never been to Dubai. Had you been to Dubai before you went and played this year?
No, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, both first times, both super cool. Um,
Hot.
so most guys prefer Abu Dhabi over Dubai, but I enjoy going to like really big, kind of crazy looking cities, and I enjoyed both of them. They're really cool.
Did you get to spend much time in like the actual city, or was it just golf course the entire time?
Um, I felt like they were both no cut events, and it's just like if I do really well at those tournaments is fantastic, but yeah, it's not like I was fighting for like FedEx Cup points. So I was a bit more relaxed. So I had, I did like a desert, they call it like a desert safari tour, like rode on a camel for a little bit, did like an ATV. So that was super fun. Um, checked out Dubai City. Didn't actually go into Burj Khalifa, but was around there a ton. Um, and Abu Dhabi, um, did a couple touristy things there too. And yeah, they're super cool to go. They're like rode in a bunch of robo taxi Ubers where the car drives itself. So that was kind of unique.
How was
So
it?
yeah.
Was the first one terrifying?
No, no, like I have a Tesla. I drive a Tesla, so like I'm used to, and there's actually a person there, making sure like nothing goes wrong. So it's not
Ah,
like it wasn't like Waymo, where it wasn't like a complete humanless thing. So it never felt like too awkward.
makes sense. All right, man. Thank you for catching up. Like, can we count on you for being better this year than you were last year? Is that the goal? Just be better?
That is definitely the goal. I only hit, one of the main goals is make it to tour championship. I only have to improve by one. So,
Just
sounds pretty simple, to be honest.
kneecap Victor Hovland. You'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah. You know, so at India, uh, so at India, I'm like in ninth place. I'm like, yeah, great, another top 10, feeling great. Victor Hovland, he's sitting at like uh 10th or 11th, and he chips in for eagle on the last hole to bump me. I mean, it's still a top 10, but I finished 10th instead of ninth. And Victor Hovland comes up to my Victor sees my caddy, Danny, and Danny goes up to him and he's like, dude, you had to chip in on the last hole to push us, out of ninth to 10th. Like, come on, like I thought you did plenty of that at Cave Valley at the BMW. And Victor kind of laughs and he's like, well, now I know I live rent free in your guys' head. So I was like, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I only have to beat one more guy, so I think I should be able to do that.
Oh, did you catch any of I think they were called like the PGA Tour games that was on Golf Channel? Did you see any of that?
I was because Keith was on the part of the broadcasting crew, right? He was one of the
Yeah.
commentators. He was at GTI, Grant Thornton, so we were talking about kind of his job and kind of a lot of the things that were going on, like planning for that. But I didn't catch too much of it. I don't watch too much golf
That's fair.
when I'm back home, so.
But it was if you can get involved with it, I think there's something to it. Like TGL is on. It feels like an innings eater thing. Like hey, like LIV's going on, but we also have TGL. I don't think there was like any expectation for this, but it was wildly entertaining.
Yeah, I just on like X or Twitter, like seemed like kind of most people didn't have any expectations, like me. But most were, it seemed like received pretty good reviews, and I know, Golf Channel and Optum, they're really, trying to make it as best as they could, and I guess everyone had a really good time. So yeah, if I have a if I get a chance to do it next year, I definitely will partake.
Yeah, you gotta work on your speed chipping. It was shocking to watch Scotty just like flub chips trying to go as fast as he could. It's like, hey, that's what I do. This is great.
Sounds sounds good. I'll work on it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Get ready for next year.
Because you have to run too, so you have to like chip it and like run 30 yards, then immediately chip it. So you gotta get on the treadmill, get your cardio up. After having a good year to participate in the PGA games, you'll be good to go.
Gotcha. The Cal women's team used to do this thing called cardio wedges, where you'd like run and then like trying to then try to hit a wedge like while your heart rate was up, and maybe we'll implement that into the off season practice plans.
Oh, that's a great idea because I think Justin Thomas is the only guy who wears the only guy that they show you that wears the whoop. And like some of his putts, like his heart rate's like 135 when he's trying to make a putt. That's like, does your heart rate get up that high? Like I know like certain circumstances would be different, but his always seems to just be going.
I can tell you, uh, in years past, I used to wear the Whoop during like the COVID times, and that's like when I was like playing my absolute worst, and was really in my head with the driver. Like if they showed my Whoop thing while I was hitting certain tee shots, I promise you they would have had a doctor come up to me and ask like, are you okay? Your heart rate's a little dangerously high. Um, but yeah, these days it's probably like more like if I'm in contention or stuff like that. Like French Open this year, like standing on 18T. That's probably when it was at its peak this year.
Do you think that there's any chance that you come through in the clutch in France if you don't have those runs earlier on in the season, building up final groups, playing in contention? Like if it's your first time in contention, because even when you won John Deere, you won it by like a billion strokes. That I assume Sunday was like the most fun Sunday of your life.
John Deere, John
Yeah,
Deere. God no, I was like terrified the entire day, just trying not to lose the lead.
you had like a
Um,
10-shot lead.
no, I started out with five and I birdied the first three, and that helped a lot. But I was still just like just we I didn't have the best mental processing at that time, and I was like, okay, just like please don't screw it up, please don't screw it up. um, and I remember just being stressed out of my mind, to be honest, that weekend. France, I felt like I had a much better time with it because, to be honest, I after like the eighth hole, like I think I was like three shots back or something with 10 holes to go. So honestly, like starting the day, I felt like it felt like I had a good chance of winning. But then like after the eighth hole, I'm like, man, like these guys are tearing this golf course up, and I made a few birdies coming in after eight to kind of help that chance. But yeah, I honestly didn't think that I had a real chance to win until probably like I was standing on 16T, and I was like, oh man, if I make a couple birdies here, because the next 16 and 17 were pretty easy holes. So I was like, I might actually have a real good chance. But yeah, John Deere, I was terrified the entire weekend.
Just a question about practice. Like, if I go to the range, obviously your warm up's going to be different than mine. Like, what would you suggest people do to warm up before a round? I've always wondered that because I just go and hit a few wedges, hit a few drivers, hit a few irons. Be like, yeah, make a few putts, and I'm good to go. Is there something that people should be doing to warm up properly?
Um, hopefully you give yourself a bit more than like 10 minutes, just to make sure you don't, injure yourself when you hit driver all of a sudden and you haven't done anything the last like week. Um, I would say, um, just as like the lowest common denominator, like most people will be able to, gain something from this. Um, I'd say warming up. I would just make sure you take some like long, long kind of lazy swings to start, just to get some stretch, get some blood flow. And during practice, hit some. I think the best thing an amateur could do is hit some hooks and slices, and then kind of like let's say you start with like a 20-yard hook, 20-yard slice if you can, and then just kind of lessen the curve over time, and that helps you build a lot of club awareness to where like, oh, okay, that's kind of what I need to do to hit a hook, and that's what I need to do, to open it to hit a fade or slice. I think that's you can't go wrong doing that, no matter what your swing looks like. So those are probably my two suggestions.
Is there anything on the putting green starting out with? Like, I remember Phil had the just like drop the balls around the hole from like 3 feet away, make them all, then do it from 5 feet away. Is there any specific routine that you go into when you hit the putting green?
I've leaned a lot into aim point these days, which I know
Speed it
some
up.
of your list
Speed
yeah,
it up.
some of your listeners are really gonna hate. So like a lot of my practice has been kind of setting a baseline for like 1%, 2%, 3%, stuff like that. Um, Putting wise, I don't know. Some things something I try to do, like with kids. at a clinic if I do. Like if the green has some like pins or flags, and you can kind of mess with the shadow. There's going to be a shadow, and I'll have kids kind of hit putts along the shadow just to have give them a bit more of a visual sense, because sometimes a lot of kids and some AMs don't even know where they're really looking. If they have like some visual aspect that can help. Uh, like for me, like I'm trying to gain every edge I can. So I have, as putting wise, I have like a alignment stick with like, okay, this is where my left foot goes, this is where my right foot goes, this is where my ball position is. And so I have a bit of a baseline. So if you want to do that, you can just kind of, it's not that hard. I just put some tape around an alignment stick, and that way I know my setup is going to be consistent the entire year. So maybe try that.
Anything I can do to improve. I'm gonna end up being like Tin Cup out there with like every single like I'll have that. Well, I saw Bobby Mack using it, that thing that you put around like your neck that has like the big ball to keep your arms in like the certain point. I haven't got quite to that level yet, but I feel like soon that is coming for me.
It's yeah, a decent amount of guys have that. It's like that little neck thing,
Yeah.
and it connects to the ball, and feel helps your backswing. So yeah, well, hey, whatever golf is hard enough. Whatever you can do to um try and make your life a little easier on the golf course.
I found it funny too when I was down in Memphis. Like I think you were on the range, but Scotty was on the range as well. Scotty had the what you wash your clubs with, like the just to pick everything out of the grooves. He had it on like a zip line attached to his belt buckle. It was like the most dad thing I've ever seen in my life. It was awesome.
So that a lot of guys do that now, and I just have not been able to do that. Like I'm like, that is the last line of like of just pure efficiency away from like how you might look aesthetically. And I'm like, that's the line I won't cross. I'll just give me a towel.
Have they sent out a PGA wide email? Are they soliciting like what you're thinking about Brooks? They're like, yeah, bring Brooks back, or like, don't bring Brooks back. Like, it doesn't seem like anyone has a clue what's going on anymore.
Yeah, they I'm sure there has to have been conversations between Brooks's team and some of the tour leadership. Um, and I'm sure there's been plenty of communication between, maybe at least the guys on the board. I'm sure there's been talk amongst those guys. I have no survey yet. The only survey I've gotten the last couple of weeks is like, vote for your pack ballot, guys. So nothing from me yet.
Well, it's one of those things where I guess no, if he did come back, let's say there was like he comes back, there's no penalty, there's no nothing, he's just on tour again, and he's Brooks because he would still qualify for all these things, having won so many tournaments, won so many majors, and I'm sure the fans would love to see Brooks back if he could play. Are there players who would be mad? Not even necessarily like conditional status guys, but like does Rory get mad? Be like, hey, I could have taken $1 billion and come back too. Like, is that like where the tension is?
Yeah, Rory. I feel like Rory's actually been pretty like I mean, I guess in a sense he's technically turned down the most money, right?
Yeah.
By not going to live, but he's almost been in favor of like, let's just get everyone back together. It seems like I've never talked to Rory about it, but it seems like he's been more open to it than some of the others who uh, who turned down much less, or like that wasn't even an option for them. But like, there's definitely going to be guys that like say like, no, like why does he get the big check and get to come back? Like, I would have gone, heck, I would have gone to live Q school and come back if that was okay. So
Well,
there's definitely going to be some talk about it.
that was the thing this
Promise you.
offseason. It was the Live Q School stuff that I think they put out that like if you go and play in this, like you're banned.
Oh yeah, I mean Wesley Bryan like got suspended for participating in some YouTube thing, right?
Yeah.
And so there's it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm obviously not gonna have much say in it, to be honest. Uh, but I think I think the fact that Brian Rolap's in charge now, who's never part of the live early thing, and he's had like obviously a fresh look on everything. I think that is definitely in that's gonna help Brooks, I would think, more than when Jay was in charge.
Last thing, did you ever play in the WGC at Doral?
Never played Doral. Kind of a theme that I've never played a lot of these golf courses, but I'm looking forward to it. I definitely will be there in Miami. So I've actually never even been to Miami before. So looking
Really?
forward to check that out. Now,
Well,
I
be careful.
never, yeah, never been to that part. So yeah, looking forward to it.
All right. Well, thanks for all the time. I know I appreciate it. I know everyone else appreciates it. And good luck this year, man. Be, like I said, just be slightly better and everything is solved. You won't even have to think about qualifying for the US Open in a year's time. Hell, maybe just win a major this year and then you're good for years.
There you go. It's like as I go on through my life, I have times when it's like, oh man, like, concerns or worries or problems that pop up. And every single one of those problems or worries just gets met with the same answer. Just make a few more birdies and all those problems go away. And this is no different. So, make a few more birdies and just be one more guy compared to this year.
Well, and it really mirrors what happens in real life too. Like, the problems that I had 15 years ago, I would laugh at now 15 years later. And the problems that I would deal with would be like, those aren't real problems. Those are luxuries that you get to have in your life. I assume it kind of works the same way. Like the concerns that you had coming out of college and playing on Corn Ferry or trying to qualify through Q school are massively different than the concerns you would have now.
Oh yeah, the concern of like, oh, I really don't know if I can play Cognizant or CJ Cup because I have to play in all these signature events. It's like, oh no, like it's the definition of first world problems. So happy to be where I'm at and just trying to improve every year that I can.
Michael Kim, thank you for being on. Follow Mike on Twitter. As always, you probably do anyway if you're watching the show and you have for any amount of time, and let him know you appreciate coming on. If you see him out at the tournament, cheer him on. Let's hope we can get some wins this year. That would be awesome. Smash the like on the way out and play in that race for the Mayo Cup. You can hit the link down in the description to find all the details. 110,000 to first place. That's like coming, what is that? Was that the check for your T10 in India? 110,000? Or was that less?
Just about, actually, very close. Yeah.
So yeah, you can be the best at picking winners in the golf world for 1 year, or you can get really good at golf and tie for 10th in an Indian tournament on the DP World Tour in October. Those are your two choices. I can only try to do one. You probably can too, so go do that at fantasygolfchampionships.com. All right, thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience!
55-yard bunker shot that has to carry 40 yards of sand and get it to stop. Like it was impossible when I tried to do it.
No, even for pros, those are just a lot of hit and hope.
I actually watched a video of Scotty trying to do it one time. He was like,
Oh.
he's like, of not that shot, but like trying to do those like longer bunkers where you need to clear a bunch of the bunker, but like there's nothing on the other side really to stop it. Instead of using like a sand wedge or a 52 or anything. He's like, yeah, just like open up an 8-iron and like basically flop it and you'll get that sort of distance. I tried it and sculled the fuck out of it, but that's me.
It's it's weird because you don't really it's not like you spend a lot of time because if you've done it, I mean you might hit that shot like twice a year, so it's not really something you like practice really hard on.
You might not hit
But
that shot more than twice a year. I hit that. I mean, I should probably just practice on not getting in that spot in the first place, but it happens.
Experience!